Hello everyone, it's Thursday here in Cairns, bit overcast. The weather's it's cooled off a little bit because we had a really bad hot spell. Earlier in the week it was 33 degrees and I had a couple of walks in it. Yeah, I really felt it. As a matter of fact, the weird thing is when I actually went on the walk, on the return journey down Lily Creek, I came across a relatively young Aboriginal woman, Indigenous lady, and she was fairly thin. She wasn't carrying weight or anything, and she actually asked me for a water bottle if I had one, and I said, "Well, no, sorry, I don't." I just told her to stay in the shade because what else can you do? I mean, she probably needs to go to a milk bar or something and buy some mineral water or something. But yeah, that was extraordinary because I normally regard Indigenous people as having much greater stamina when it comes to the warmth, and generally because, especially if they're pretty thin, and like I say, she wasn't carrying weight, so that was quite surprising. I hope she's okay. So just take it slowly in that sort of weather, but that shows how warm it was. And things are hotting up for poor old people, the residents of South Australia, who are going to have to endure another lockdown. Reminds me of what's happening in the UK. I'm really surprised the UK is doing it under Boris Johnson. He's becoming a bit of a disappointment at the moment, Boris. But the state premier of South Australia is not covering himself in glory either. He's actually called this shutdown. And they say it's quite an intense shutdown, according to the newspapers. Not that you can believe much of what they say these days. I'm very cynical. Even Daily Mail, I've got my doubts about now. They've been a bit inaccurate, but they were claiming it was a brutal. That was the actual word terminology they used. A brutal lockdown. And the Premier of South Australia is actually a Liberal leader, but you wouldn't know it. I mean, totally different approach to Berejiklian. The thing that gets me about this lockdown is it's caused because there's actually 23 cases in a cluster. There's been no hospitalisations, there's been no deaths, just 23 cases. And that's absurd. So he's going to basically lock down the whole state, destroy the economy for a week, put small businesses out just when they're probably starting to revive, and also people who have got, say, cancer treatment are going to have problems. They won't be able to see people. The poor people in the retirement villages, they won't be able to see their relatives, of course. I mean, that's one thing they really wanted, is to say hug family members and what have you, and that was denied people because of these lockdowns that were based on medical advice, which I think is pretty damn shonky. I mean, it's not like you ignore corona. Obviously you don't. People like myself who are in high risk need to take greater precautions. I still try to social distance as much as I can, but it's pretty hard up here in FNQ. Far North Queensland people are pretty laid back and they don't seem to be taking much notice of that. As a matter of fact, the NRL Grand Final, they apparently had 52,000 people in a stadium without masks. Now that just would never happen overseas. I'm sort of happy about it because I think this lockdown on medical advice is really just a way of government controlling the populace, and it's frightening how easily the populace can be controlled because we have been pretty acquiescent to some of these draconian measures as a population, and I don't think it's good. I mean, I don't like people rioting and like they are in America either. I'm not asking for that, but I'm just saying don't passively accept this stuff. This is what worries me. Maybe it's all part of the way the education system's going, and now we're all using groupthink. You go through school, you get propaganda for half the time, and then you go to university and they up the ante even further. And is it any wonder we have second-rate journalists now who are really just activists pushing propaganda? We can't get real news. I mean, not through the traditional sources anyway. You have to go online. And it's only because the likes of YouTube are allowing these stories to come through. They're not happy about alternate views, but they basically just want to bolster the mainstream media. So it's not a benign position to be in as a independent creator. So it's always going to be a struggle and a fight against the tyranny of big tech. And it's not going to get any better if Biden does indeed be crowned the president. That's going to be 4 years of real trauma. Mind you, things could change a bit in 2 years in the midterm elections if they get their asses really royally kicked, and the Republicans retain control of the Senate. It's going to be pretty tough for Biden to do much anyway. Biden-Harris, I should say. Make sure I say Biden-Harris because we know Biden's not going to last long. I mean, he should be in a retirement village. It's just, I just such a scam of an election on so many fronts in America. I mean, the way they just have treated the democratic process with utter contempt, from what I can see. The Democrats. It's only one team that's trying to follow the rules. I mean, they're not angels in the Republican Party. There's plenty of, I'm sure there's plenty of slime balls there, but nowhere near as bad as in the Democrats, where they just don't seem to really want to retain their institutions and bolster them. It used to be sort of consensus between the two parties to abide by rules and what have you, but I just don't see the Democrats are interested in that. They just want to tear down all institutions. They're doing a fine job of it with the aid of the fourth estate, the press. The media have basically been complicit at pushing one point of view, and now joined by Fox Network, the Trader Network. That brings up another point about, Tucker Carlson the other night was addressing the issue of maybe him leaving the network, given the way that it's going pretty left wing. And he claims that he's getting more support from Fox now than ever, than that he's going to expand his particular program, and that he's going nowhere. Well, I think, seriously, Tucker, you're going to have to take another look at yourself in the near future, because from what I've seen, your ratings are being affected by the basic malaise in Fox Network. So you're not going to have the dominance that you had if you stay there. I think you're going to have to move, and I'm sure Newsmax would be more than happy to take up your position. They'd give you a slot, no problems. You'd fit in really well at Newsmax, and you wouldn't have to worry about all the politics you're going to have to encounter with Fox Network. It may be okay at the moment, but don't believe that this is going to continue on forever. It's not a benign environment. So my warning to Tucker would be, keep your options open. But that's not what the message he projected on screen. But again, what people say on screen, what's going on behind closed doors, who knows? I suspect that things aren't quite as rosy as he painted. And if he sticks to his guns and is a spokesman for what I would regard as libertarian type of policies, I would think he's going to have to move on. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Look, I just want to touch base with you guys. There's not that much news going on. The legal battles continue. The mainstream media tries to attack anyone involved with Trump. And the latest attacks in Daily Mail were upon Rudolph Giuliani, basically saying he's a dithering old fool. It's just never stops. The slurs that are thrown against anyone involved in alternate media. Trump just gets a barrage of this stuff, and I guess he's just got the armour to fend it off. But lesser people buckle. There were a couple of Republicans who buckled. I think it was in the they gave the okay to one of the counties. I think it was in Michigan, and there were two. They were there to certify the election, and the Republicans had been holding out. There was 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. 2 Republicans held up, and now they finally broke under the pressure and agreed to certify the results in an election in the biggest county in Michigan. So That's very disappointing. It's a classic rhino situation, Republican in name only, just like Romney. He's absolutely useless and shouldn't really be in the Republicans. These people have got to be weeded out of that particular party and make them stronger. Mind you, the Democrats have got their own internal problems with the squad versus the old guard. So politics, it's a dirty game. Anyway, look, that's enough, I think, today. I just wanted to touch base. There really isn't that much to report, except that South Australia seems to have gone insane. But, South Australia's always been a bit strange in my opinion. So anyway, look, please give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Comments are appreciated. And, of course, if you feel inclined to subscribe, please do so, although I've got a feeling I'm having zero effect on that front. But anyway, look, hope you have a great day. Getting near the weekend for those of you who are working, and if you could hang out for another 48 hours, you can have a bit of a relax on a warm weekend in most of Australia, I would presume. So look after yourselves, and I'll catch up with you when I can.